None at all. Somewhere in Indiana they were doing work on a highway, but yeah, would be hard, I was lucky, honestly. So during the Kol Nidre prayer, just the prayer, the Kol Nidre actual thing, can I close my mouth? Seeing Kol Nidre through a cloth seems to be, what's your call, President?
I don't know. I mean, I think, do you think we're far enough away? Maybe I can get the
You know what we can do? I'll move the chairs further away.
No.
And I think you can do that.
Are you joking about moving the chair?
Well,
I mean, I'm standing here. The closest person, if I tried, I couldn't reach them with my, I walked too fast.
25 feet away.
What?
25 feet away, maybe.
Yeah.
I'm okay with that as well.
All right. We'll just for Kol Nidre, and after that, it'll go right back on. Everything else I'll do.
You know, it's like on one hand, I feel like it's like we just don't know, but at the same time, I'm more concerned about quality.
You're more concerned about what?
The people who came here tonight don't know the risks, so they can make.
Yeah. So how did you decide, like, are some people coming, I noticed that the canopy's down. So we decided to move it inside completely because there's too many possibilities for rain and getting up in the middle with the machinery and moving up. And wind, okay. So is it like some people get to come to Kol Nidre and some to Shacharit and some to Nila?
Yeah, and everybody gets a service, but it's we'll have at least 10 people here for.
Right, okay.
Actually, no more than 10 people.
Well,
No, it's true. But I think we have like 10 plus rabbis and campers.
Yeah.
It's gonna be interesting.
When did you get back into Newport?
got here about 1 o'clock in the afternoon. Got here about 1 o'clock in the afternoon. Returned the car. Got to Charles Inn. Went to a restaurant across the street. You know, the Charles Inn is right where there's like 14 restaurants around here.
Right.
In fact, amazingly enough, the one that's right in front of the Charles Inn, I think it's called the Blaze.
Yeah.
They said no, it's a half hour wait for pickup.
I am testing the audio. I'm testing the audio. Check 1 2.
Across the street is that.
Check 1 2. Check 1 2. Check 1 2. Check 1 2.
Oh, that's good to know because I might go there for breakfast. Yeah. This is glasses. You don't wear glasses.
Yes, I do.
How you doing? Oh, he's on.
Ow. Right in the ear. Ah. It's weird. I'm watching myself in real time. Right in the ear. Sounds pretty good though. I think we'll be all right.
Testing.
Weird. I'm watching myself in real time. Right in the ear. Sounds pretty good though. I think we'll be all right. I am talking. I'm talking. You were hearing me talk. Oh. I'm talking. You can hear me talk. I could hear myself on Facebook with my phone, which was a little disconcerting. Hello. Hello. If you could check Facebook Live too, Leah, that would be magical. Check Facebook Live. Twitter, YouTube works, thank you. But check Facebook Live. Check it. Check the Facebook. Hurry up. You're not going fast enough, Leah. Faster. Can you hear me? This is Radio Free Albemuth. Hello. Checking the microphone. Checking our sound. Does it sound good? It sounds good on Twitter. It sounds good on YouTube. That means it probably sounds good on Zoom. My wife said something that she has to apologize for before Yom Kippur. My wife should apologize to me before Yom Kippur. She really should. Ooh. Do I have to read this online? I'll read it. I will, unless I get an apology. I'm going to read it. Do teshuvah. You got a couple of minutes. Okay, our service is a 15-minute check. You're watching Congregation Beth Israel's live stream. Will be on in about 15 minutes. Thank you, everybody. Thank you. It sounds like it's making noise. I hear air tape intake, or it's over here. That's good. We're going to probably want to make that so it's recirculating. Because we're all going to get COVID now. Yeah. Dodge the bullet for so long.
Are you, he asked that question, it wasn't anticipated question.
Ask Rabbi for some time. It's under 5 minutes. I didn't have time to record something beforehand, and we have to make it deal. Sure. But we also have to make the case for what we're asking for. So, I'm going to take the easy way out and say no. If you're joining us online, there's about I said 15 minutes a minute ago, but it's actually more like a half hour. But your live stream is working. It's not just a blank wall. Thank you for joining us.
with Abraham doing their services indoor with any capacity limits?
I think they are, oh, come on. Gonna tell Leah to get off of it.
And tomorrow morning, 5 o'clock here, inside,
Yes,
and tomorrow afternoon, is it 3 or 4?
3 and 5.
3 and 5, 3 is midnight, 5 is. But do you know what time the fast ends? I'm like,
7:35 is up dial.
so 3? 3 is kind of early to start at 7:45, right?
Yeah.
Especially because we're skipping all this stuff. Maybe there'll be a break.
Is Michael Slaughter relative of yours?
Yeah, like, he's plugged in yet, so my father. If you want to kick any people whose name is Slot off the roster, if too many people sign up.
joining us on the live stream. It is 5:45. The show begins in 15 minutes.
Shana Tova. Welcome to the people who are joining us here tonight at Congregation Beth Israel. And welcome to those of you who are tuning in over live stream. Very pleased to welcome back our Kazan Jill Clark. We begin our service on page 205, the full Egypt. Please welcome.
على النهف شتانا ميام كيبوري مزاه عاد يوم كيبوري بتهلن مبودلين العشرين دلا يا حمين ندرنا لا ندري لسرنا لسري وشبوتنا لا شبوت لني درهي ذسري ذخرم هاي بكنم هاي بخينوي هاي بكينو ساي وشبوت دين دارنا اشتبهنا ولآخرهمنا ותיסרנה על הנפש תהנה מיום כיפורים זה יום כיפורים הבא עלינו לטובה כולהון איחרתנה בהון كلهن يهون شهرا شبيهتين بتهلن ومبتلين لا شريرين بلا كايامين نيدرنا لا نيدري بسرنا لا سري وشبوتنا لا شبوت كل ندري ذسري كرمي كنمي ذخنويي ذكينوسي وشبوت دين دارنا ورشتبانا ورياخرهمنا بيسرنا على النفس تهنا ميوم كيبوريم ذا أريام كيبوريم علينا لتوبة كلهن إخرتنا بهن كلهن يهون شهرا شبيهين بتهلن مبتلين لا شريرين بلا كايامين نيدرنا لا نيدري ذسرنا لا يسري وشبوتنا لا השבות ונסלח לכל עדת בני ישראל ולגר הגר בתוכם כי לכל העם בשגגה נסלח לכל עדת בני ישראל ולגר הגר בתוכם כי לכל העם בשגגה נסלח לכל עדת בני ישראל ולגר הגר בתוכם כי לכל העם בשגגה סלח נא לעוון העם הזה כגודל חסדך וכאשר נשאת לעם הזה ממצרים ועד הנה ושם נאמר ויאמר אדוני סלחתי כדבריך ויאמר אדוני סלחתי כדבריך ויאמר אדוני סלחתי כדבריך ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם שהחיינו וקיימנו והגיענו לזמן הזה. ברכו את אדוני המבורך ברוך אדוני המבורך לעולם ועד. ברוך אתה אדוני המבורך. ומעביר יום ומהביא לילה ומבדיל בין יום ובין לילה אדוני צבאות שמות אל חי וקיים תמיד ימלוך עלינו לעולם ועד. ברוך אתה אדוני המרי בערבים אהבת עולם בית ישראל. כי הם חיינו ואורך ימינו ובהם נגמם בלילה והבטל תסיר ממנו לעוד עמים. ברוך אתה אדוני אוהב עמו ישראל שמע ישראל אדוני אלוהינו אדוני אחד. ברוך שם כבוד מלכותו לעולם ועד. Adonai Elohim Emet. ומלכותו רצון קיבלו עליהם משה ומרים ובני ישראל לחנו שירה בשמחה רבה ואמרו כולם מי כמוך באלים אדוני מי כמוך נדר בקודש נורא דהילות אוסף פלא מלכותך ראו בניך בוקע הים לפני משה זה אלינו ויאמרו אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד ונאמר כי פדה אדוני את יעקב וגאלו מיד חזק ממנו ברוך אתה אדוני גל ישראל ופרוס עלינו סוכת שלומך ברוך אתה אדוני הפורס סוכת שלום עלינו ועל כל עמו ישראל ועל ירושלים כי ביום הזה יכפר עליכם לטהר אתכם מכל חטאותיכם לפני אדוני תטהרו יתגדל ויתקדש שמי רבה ויעלמה דברי גדותי וימליך מלכותי בחיי חון וביומי חון ובחיי כל בית ישראל בגלה ובזמן הקריב אמרו אמן יהי שמי רבם מברך לעולם לעלמי עלמיה יתברך וישתבח ויפעל ויתרומם ויתנשא ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל שמי קודש בריחו לילה לילה מכל ברכת ושירת תושבחת ונחמת תמיד בעלמא ואמרו אמן.
Amen. Begins on page 213, 213, and is set to the
Ruchim Habayim to all of you watching at home and here, and Shana Tova. I'm Brian Kresge, president of Congregation Beth Israel in Bangor, Maine, the state's oldest continuing operating synagogue. I like saying that. We adopted a new mission statement this year, and I think it captures very well all the work we've done. I'm going to read it to you. Congregation Beth Israel is a vibrant, egalitarian, and progressive Jewish community. We welcome Jews from all backgrounds, their partners, their families, and those seeking to live Jewishly. We encourage active participation in synagogue life by each member according to their individual interests and abilities. We empower our members to live joyful and meaningful lives through prayer, learning, community friendships, and the Jewish imperative of tikkun olam, repair of the world. This mission statement, I believe, more than adequately frames the ground we've covered this year, before and after the pandemic started. It's been a year of trying new things, both by choice and as compelled by circumstance. We've updated our newsletter format, adopted a new website, increased presence on social media. Many of you are watching us right now. We built new programming using a tried and true format like our Lunch and Learns with our rabbi, and others being all new adult learning courses from Rambam to the Hasidic Masters. We did an adult Purim at Patty Murphy's this year, and our yearly Purim Carnival was a resounding success. We had a well-attended Hanukkah party. The Sisterhood had a successful craft fair. We had many great guest speakers with more to come this year. Many things are work in progress or in suspended animation until the pandemic is over, but we've accomplished so much. After COVID, we lost our community Seder. We had to adapt to a new way to ensure we were serving the first parts of our new mission statement. Friday nights on Zoom, learning on Zoom. We tried to keep these balls in the air as best we could. And I believe we did. You're on mute, or you need to mute, have become so reflexive they may become part of our liturgy. Our religious school finished the year strong online and is already off to a strong start with online education and a well-attended, socially distanced pre-high holidays family education event. We have another family event coming up for Sukkot this year at our homestead in Winterport for those who are interested. We started the year updating our services, a process that will continue in the new year, whatever that looks like. We're exploring ways to both maintain our commitment to liturgical tradition while opening new pathways for meaningful prayer. One of the things I am most proud of this year, with help from Brookings Smith and our rabbi, has been retaining our Chevra Kadish's ability to appropriately honor our departed, even with all the constraints that we are presently living with. Finally, as you have all noticed, thanks to considerable generosity of Carol Epstein and the Epstein family, we are in the midst of an upgrade to our complex. This will include a small chapel/multi-purpose room and an upstairs kitchen. Will really help out with ease of access to our facility. I don't think we can express enough gratitude to Carol Epstein for building on her parents' commitment and helping carry this facility and our community into the decades to come. 5780 has been a tumultuous year in many ways, beyond just our immediate congregational concerns. Our commitment to tikkun olam has been challenged before and after the pandemic hit. As our nation threatens to tear itself apart, it is my hope that our community's voice, steady and unwavering, can continue to be one of the many that helps in the process of healing and reconciliation. We've supported immigrant families. We've spoken out on the value of Black lives and inequality for local students and nationally. We've continually challenged ourselves to do better. So I think in many ways, the accommodations that we've had to take for COVID have given this congregation a sense of what is possible. Our community will not disintegrate as we embrace change. We have metaphorically, not physically because we have to stay 6 feet apart at least, clasped hands and faced these hard times and adapted with an amazing speed to emerging conditions. We know we will come out stronger from the winds of change, whether these choices are forced upon us or they are things we take on as a matter of progress. This was not an easy first year to be president. And we started off with a considerable operating fund deficit, and with the hard work of our rabbi, our treasurer, and our executive committee, and our board of directors, and especially your generosity, we closed the last fiscal year with a surplus. It would be easy to say I feel a little bit punch drunk, but I don't. Why? It's because of all of you, here and at home. Even if it was just a quick phone call to see how we're doing, even if it was just a brief connection at our lovely outdoor minion, sustaining this community through our combined efforts is the worthiest of undertakings. I love you all, and I cannot envision a life where Leah, Amelia, Nezzy, and I are not a part of this amazing congregational family. As an aside, we still have months of this to come. So if any of you ever need anything at home or here, just give us a call. It said it's time for the seasonal ask. I love telling people that we're the oldest continuing operating synagogue in Maine. I love telling people that. But especially when you join us, you become a part of that history immediately. And as we strive to be the hub for Jewish life in this part of Maine, a role I believe we've inhabited for a very long time, we need your financial support to make that happen. As I mentioned in the appeal letter, roughly 11% of our yearly operating budget comes from your Yom Kippur pledges and high holiday seat sales. I ask if you are with us in person or viewing us via live stream, that you consider offsetting the loss of seat revenue in your pledge contribution. If you can't, we understand. This year has presented a financial hardship for many, and you should only give if it doesn't hurt you to do so. Those who can give a little extra, we deeply appreciate all of it. You know, I'm fond of closing all my communications with stay chill and do spectacular things. Let's not stay chill this year. Let's make it a year of action, of strength, of broadening your horizons, whatever the constraints may be. Chazak, chazak, v'nich chazek. Be strong, let us be strengthened. And together we'll do those spectacular things, firmly 6 feet apart. Gemar chati mitzvah. Have a good night.
Yasher, Koach, Brian, and thank you for your efforts throughout the year to keep Congregation Beth Israel as strong and as safe as we are. Shana Tova. Over Rosh Hashanah, I spoke of things that, well, they weren't light things, but there are things that have the quality of being well within the control of this congregation. Now, if we have learned anything from 2020, it's that we need to have a sense of humility about what the Creator has in store for us in the coming year. But with all of the necessary qualifications, I think it can be said with confidence that we will have the opportunity to try out the gift of forgiveness and the supreme Jewish vocation that is learning in this beautiful setting that we find ourselves in. But tonight, for Kol Nidre, I am going to speak of items that are less in our hands, even in the hands of the wider community. As painful as the words are, I think they need to be said. I wish more than anything I could speak tonight without the mask. I wish that we could have this conversation face to face and in the same room. But we don't always get the precise moment that we wish for. And there are things that need to be said as we gather, as the Jews from all over the world gather to hear the words the Chazan chanted this evening. I'm going to open and I'm going to close with appreciation for Justice Ginsburg, because I believe her passing does mark a moment in American history and in the story of the Jews. Hers was a life that saw essential transformations in our society, in which her advocacy played a pivotal role in ending government-sanctioned discrimination and in securing the institutions that extend liberty, honor, and license to fully participate in society, which was denied for too many for too long. Hers is a story of tremendous determination and drive, an exhibit for all eternity of the ability of a gifted and honorable person to leave the world a much better place. It's a story we cannot tell too often. It is also undeniably an American story, a story of a Jew who, despite all of the obstacles facing her family, was lucky to be born in Brooklyn in the year 1933, when the darkest of nights was setting on Europe. It was not true then, and it is not true now, that in America people can be whoever they want, do whatever they want to do, there was plenty of work for Joan Ruth Bader to put her hands to, just as there is plenty of work for us. But with the background of what it had meant to be Jewish for centuries, with the perspective of the terror that was waiting for Jews on the continent, being born in Brooklyn was a miracle. As being born in America, a miracle for all of us. Escaping to America has been a miracle for the millions of Jews who made it to the shore. Her story is great in more than one direction. It is a great story of an individual, of a Jew, but also a great story of America. As Jews, we have more than one of everything. We even have two Torahs. Our identity, or at least in my experience, my American Jews have possessed at least two strong identities, at least two groundings on which we can rely. Our particular identity as Jews, as a people apart from all others, balanced with a commitment to share in what is, at least what has been in America, a universal perspective, a universal citizenship. You've heard rabbis in general, and you've certainly heard me over the time we've been together lament the increasing softness of this first particular identity among American Jews, as well as being exposed to the tedious cajoling that I give regularly to attend to the language, to the behavioral norms, and to the literature that is our Jewish civilization, especially when confronted with the largest and fastest growing Jewish community in the world that speaks Ivrit by default. The danger posed by the collapse of the particular sense of what it means to be a Jew is unnerving for those of us called to lead American communities. But this concern, this long-held concern, has been matched for me by a rising fear, punctuated by recent developments that concerns the other piece of our dual identity, the participation in America as Americans. Is becoming closed. In the language of a writer I will discuss tonight, it is unbecoming. And this development for me leaves me with a gripping fear of what the future has in store for the American Jewish community. Johann Neen is a professor of history and an immigrant. He's about 10 years younger than me. He came with his family from Mumbai at the age of 3. He writes extensively about the immigrant experience and the meaning of multicultural America. And over the summer, the Hedgehog Review published a very poignant memoir from Neen, in which he recounts his experience of becoming an American, as well as the sad process of unbecoming an American, which is the title of his essay. He writes, "Most of us have multiple communities to which we belong and which make claims upon us. And it is the relation between these sources of our identity that make us who we are. It is the tensions between some of these obligations, furthermore, that enable invaluable self-criticism. What makes our differences, our pluralism sustainable, is that one of the communities that define us, America, is shared by most of us. We are many, but also one. This was the ideal of the so-called hyphenated American. All Americans, native-born or immigrant, had their particular ethnic and religious identities, but shared a common Americanness. This is written by an immigrant, and I am not formally an immigrant. I am a third generation American. But in my self-image, in my self-imagination, I felt, right or wrong, that as Jews, we are immigrants in every society that we have lived in. There may be some melodrama in assigning for ourselves the punchline of Mahler's declaration, I am thrice homeless, a native of Bohemia in Austria, an Austrian among the Germans, and a Jew in the world. Everywhere the intruder, never welcomed. We have been welcomed in America in ways that would have been impossible for previous generations of Jews to imagine. But even in this unbelievable development, there are responsibilities to our own civilization and culture. There is our own rough history, and there is a psychology that has evolved over centuries that mitigate against us feeling completely at home. Our humility, which puts us on guard against assuming that our journey is an archetype or a model, should not prevent us from recognizing that the position of the stranger is something we do know. And this is a knowledge that has survived even through what has been almost an era of ridiculous success, prosperity, and acceptance in America. The immigrant model, that there is a piece that participates and a piece that is apart, even in 2020, I believe is how we see ourselves. And I believe it is how others perceive us. And the collapse of the American piece, the failure of the identity that allows us to be part of the whole, even in our apartment, the identity that allows us to be recognized as full members of a community where we and others maintain our ethnic identity is a lamentable and a grave development. I think the following paragraph could have been written by a Jew of just about any American vintage. But as I said, it's written by a recent Indian immigrant. He writes, in a diverse society, we will always be different, and we should be. A shared culture is not a totalizing one. Indeed, it makes real pluralism possible by giving us something larger to share, regardless of our many differences. Or so I believe. But when that shared world was redefined as white, and when white people, threatened by its loss, reclaimed it, I found myself an exile, a person without his country, a person losing his country. Im writes with knowledge and with sympathy towards critical race theory, and with anger towards the persistence of racism in his adopted country. But what scares him, and what scares me tonight, is the bipartisan movement that replaces American identity with whiteness by a right wing that increasingly wants to embrace it, and by a left that wants to detach itself. Final quote from Neem. I am outside two worlds, both defined by race. On the left, race seems to be everywhere as something to celebrate, but also to divide. On the right, whiteness represents a re-racialized vision of America that denies Black voters access to the polls, engages in race baiting, that targets immigrants of color, and insults people of non-Christian faiths. It authorizes a president who suggests that we should deal with the problem of illegal border crossings by shooting migrants in the legs. I see myself distorted through both sets of eyes, but neither defines me. I don't want to be white. I am proud of my Indian heritage. I am an American. Ad Khan, Yohannaim. I don't want to be white. I am a Jew and I am an American. The fight for a vision of America that has not lived up to its promises, as opposed to a narrative in which there were never promises, but only power. The struggle against this has gone on well before I was born, and it's one that has consumed much of my life in the academy and on the pulpit. And it is this fight, the fight to preserve the critical balance, Jew and American, dissenter and defender, the one in the many. This critical tension, I have to be honest with myself, this is a fight I am losing. And beyond a dislike of losing, I am very worried about what is next. The attenuation of Jewish identity is scary enough, but that remains in our hands. All there is to do is to pick up the books again. The collapse of the American identity is beyond what we can influence, and it's going to lead for us, I believe, very trying times. Even if we embrace in this collapse our status as Jews, even if we do the work to exist as yet another ethnic group in a post-American, multi-ethnic society, we should have no illusions about a stable placement in the battle between right and left. And we need to be alert to the possibility of being driven relentlessly into positions that we do not believe, do not wish to defend, and will be unable to tolerate. Like Johann Ne'im, we seem to be finding ourselves in the position of losing our country. But for Jews, we are losing the country that was an unbelievably beautiful and remarkable exception to centuries of oppression and denial. We know every day, and we should know on Kol Nidre, that the one sin never allowed for us as Jews is to despair. And I don't propose that we give up. We do have great examples to rely upon, starting with Justice Ginsburg and her unwillingness to give any quarter at all to obstacles that seemed unmovable only to those of lesser will. And it is not in any way my intention to suggest that the coming election is without consequence, not in any way. But we have moved with terrifying speed from a world when we feared that Judaism and Israel would become partisan issues to a moment when substantial segments of both parties embrace a vision of America that is not the America that has been the wondrous exception for us, for the Jewish people in our long and troubled history. Our community, this congregation, can be and needs to be a critical bulwark for Jews of all affiliations and observances as we seek to participate in the righteous struggle for justice and for inclusion, but in a way that does not betray our beauty, our vision of America, a country which has long been our hope, our home, our hope, and our haven. Gemar Fatima Tova. I wish everyone an easy fast.
Page 227. הנה כחומר ביד היוצר, ברצותו מרפי וברצותו מקצר. כן אנחנו בידך, חסד נוצר, לברית הבית, לברית הבית, לברית הבית, ואל תפן ליצר. כי הנה כאבן ביד המסתת, ברצותו חס, וברצותו מחטט. כן אנחנו בידך מחיה וממות, לברית הבית, לברית הבית, לברית הבית, ואל תפן ליצר, כי הנה כיריה ביד הרוקם, ברצותו מיישר, וברצותו מעקם. כן אנחנו בידך, אל כנו ונוקם, לברית הבית, לברית הבית, לברית הבית, ואל תפן ליצר, כי הנה ככסף ביד הצורף, ברצותו משגשג, וברצותו מצרף. כן אנחנו בידך, מאמצי למזור טרף, לברית הבית, לברית הבית, לברית הבית, ואל תפן ליצר. אל מלך יושב על כיסא רחמים, נהג בחסידות כמו כל לבנות עמו, מעביר ראשון ראשון, מרבה מחילה לחטאים, סליחה לפושעים, עושה צדקות עם כל בשר ברוח, לא חרתם תיגמול, אל הורתה לנו לומר 13, זכור לנו היום ברית 13, כמו שהודעת לנו מקדם, כמו שכתוב, וירד אדוני בענן ויתייצב עמם, ויקרא בשם אדוני, ויעבור אדוני על פניו, ויקרא אדוני אדוני אל רחום וחנון, ערך אפיים ורב חסד ואמת, נוצר חסד אלפים, נושא עוון ופשע וחטא ונקה, וסלח לנו חטאתנו וחטאנו, סלח לנו בנכחתנו, מחל לנו מוכינו כי פשענו, כי אתה אדוני טוב וסלח ורב חסד לכל קוראיך.
Read responsibly on page 230. To you we pray above us all, beyond time and space. Understand us mortal beings, poor in spirit, weak of flesh. For you turn towards the humble, the broken, the weak. Forgive us on this special day. My heart is caught up in the web it has spun, and I am conscious of how short my life is. We depart like dew that may shine for a morning, not saved by its lowly state, it quickly fades. On this day, when we are summoned before the judge of all, turn to us for your honor's sake. Allow us to walk in the land of the living. Forgive the sins of your people. Wipe away my sins as I call to you, filled with awe in your holy sanctuary. Form me anew, granting me a heart freshly born, as the righteous teacher foretold in your holy law regarding this special day. Machar ya'aseh Adonai et hadavar hazeh. We'll continue on page 232.
אל מלך יושב על כיסא רחמים, מתנהל בחסידות מוכר לבנות עמו, מעביר ראשון ראשון מרבה מחילה לחטאים, סליחה לפושעים, עושה צדקות עם כל בשר ורוח. לא כרעתם תגמול, אלא הורית לנו לומר 13, זכור לנו היום, ברית 13, כמו שנתת לנו מקדם, כמו שכתוב, ירד אדוני פנן ויתייצב עמם, ויקרא בשם אדוני, ויעבור אדוני על פניו ויקרא אדוני, אדוני אל רחום וחנון, ערך אפיים ורב חסד ואמת, נוצר חסד לאלפים, נושא עוון ופשע וחטא ונקה, וסלחת לבנים חטאתנו ונחלתנו. שמע קולנו, אדוני יראינו, חוס ברחם עלינו וקבל רחמים ורצון את תפילתנו. השיבנו אדוני אליך ונשובה, קדש ימינו כקדם. אל תשליכנו מלפניך ברוח קודשך, אל תיקח ממנו. אל תשליכנו לעת זקנה, ככלות כוחנו אל תעזבנו. אלוהינו ואלוהי אבותינו, סלח לנו מחל לנו, כפר לנו, כי אנו עמך ואתה אלוהינו, אנו בניך ואתה אבינו, אנו עבדיך ואתה אדוננו, אנו קהלך ואתה חלקנו, אנו נחלתך ואתה גורלנו, אנו צונך ואתה רוענו, אנו כרמך ואתה נוטרנו, אנו פעולתך ואתה יוצרנו, אנו ראיתך ואתה תודנו, אנו סגולתך ואתה קרובנו, אנו עמך ואתה מלכנו, אנו מאמירך ואתה מאמירנו, אנו עזי פנים ואתה רחום וחנון, אנו קשי עורף ואתה ערך כפיים, אנו מלא עוון ואתה מלא רחמים, אנו ימינו כצל עובר ואתה ושנותיך לא יתאמו. אלוהינו, אלוהי אבותינו, תבוא לפניך תפילתנו, ואל תתעלם תחינתנו. שאין אנחנו נשא פנים וכשערב לומר לפניך, אדוני אלוהינו ואלוהי אבותינו, צדיקים אנחנו ולא חטאנו, אבל אנחנו ואבותינו חטאנו. Ay, 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 Ashamenu, Bagadanu, Gazaranu, Dibaranu Dofi, Hevinu, Beirshanu, Zatnu, Chamasnu, Tapalnu Sheker, ay, 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 Yatznu Ra, Kizavenu, Latznu, Maradnu, Niatznu, Sararnu, Avinu, Pajanu, Sararnu, Kishinu Oref. Ay, 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 Rashanu, Shichatanu, Tiavanu, Ta'inu, Tihitanu. Sarnu mitzvotecha, mitzvotecha tovim v'lo shobalanu. V'atzat tzadik al kol haba aleinu, yemet asita. ואנחנו הרשענו.
Continue the top of page 237.
על חטא שחטאנו לפניך באונס ורצון, על חטא שחטאנו לפניך באימוץ הלב, על חטא שחטאנו בגמד, על חטא שחטאנו על חטא שחטאנו בדעת ובגבינו, על חטא שחטאנו בדיבור פה, על חטא שחטאנו ברמת נתראה, על חטא שחטאנו כל זה גיאה לקידול השם החטא קטן לפניך ביצר הרע, ועל חטא חטאנו לפניך ביודעים ובלא יודעים, ועל כולם אלוה הסליחות סלח לנו מחלנו כפר לנו. על חטא שחטאנו לפניך בככה שהוא חזב, ועל חטא שחטאנו לפניך בכפת שוחד, על חטא שחטאנו לפניך. על חטא קטן לפניך בעיניים רמות, ועל חטא קטן לפניך בעזות מצח, ועל כולם אלוה סליחות סלח לנו מחלנו כפר לנו. על חטא קטן לפניך בפריקת, ועל חטא קטן לפניך בפעילות, על חטא קטן לפניך בפקיעת רע, על חטא קטן לפניך בקלות עין, קלות ראש. על חטא קטן לפניך בתשומת יד, ועל חטא קטן לפניך בתימהון לבב, ועל כולם אלוה סליחות סלח לנו מחלנו כפר לנו.
On page 243, with Alvino Montana. 243.
אבינו מלכנו חטאנו לפניך, אבינו מלכנו אין לנו מלך אלא אתה. ונבינו מלכנו, החזירנו בתשובה שלמה לפניך. אבינו מלכנו, שלח רפואה שלמה לכל חולי עמך. אבינו מלכנו, זוכרנו בזיכרון טוב לפניך. אבינו מלכנו, כתבנו בספר חיים טובים. אבינו מלכנו, כתבנו בספר גאולה וישועה. אבינו מלכנו, כתבנו בספר פרנסה וכלכלה. אבינו מלכנו, כתבנו בספר זכויות. אבינו מלכנו, כתבנו בספר סליחה ומחילה. אבינו מלכנו, נפלנו שלה בספר סליחה. מה קולנו? אבינו מלכנו, עשה למענך ימלוך למעננו. אבינו מלכנו, קוננו בנינו. אבינו מלכנו, קוננו בנינו, כי אין בנו מעשים. עשה עמנו צדקה וחסד. עשה עמנו צדקה וחסד והושיענו. אבינו מלכנו, קוננו בנינו. אבינו מלכנו, קוננו בנינו, כי אין בנו מעשים. עשה עמנו צדקה וחסד. עשה עמנו צדקה וחסד והושיענו. Continue on page 245. יקרא שמך לבא, בידמה דברה חירותיו, ימליך מלכותיו, יום מכונותיו לכל בית ישראל, בעגלה בזמן קריב ימרו. יהי שמרה במבורך, לעולם ועל מעל מיה יתברך. יתברך וישתבח ויתפר ויתרומם ויתנשא, ויתפר ויתעלה ותעלה שמר קודשה. ליהי מכל ברכת ובשירתה תפתחת ונחמת אדם ירן ועל מאבים ימרו. יתקבל צלותנו ועדנו בכל ישראל, חנמבון וישמע וימרו. יהי שלום רב מן שמיה, וחיים עלינו ועל כל ישראל וימרו. עושה שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל וימרו. 246. עלינו לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצר בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי ארצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגר עלינו ככל המונם, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים, לפני מלך מלכי המלכים, הקדוש ברוך הוא. ונאמר וירנאי למלך על כל הארץ, ביום ההוא Adonai echad, Ushemo, Ushemo, Ushemo echad.
Warner's Kaddish, page 247. Yit Gadol, Yit Gadash, Shemei Rabbah. V'yamad Devrati Uteh, V'yamlik Malkuteh. V'chayechon, V'yomechon, V'chayet V'chol Beit Yisrael. V'adala U'vizman Kari, V'yamru. Amen. Yehi Shmei Rabbah Mevorach, V'yavam U'me'amaya. Yit Barach, V'yishtabach, V'po'ar, V'kamam, V'yitnaseh. V'yit Hadar, V'yithaleh, V'yithalal, Shemei V'kudsha, V'yitchut. Ela, Ela, V'kol Berkatav, V'shiratav. Tush Bekata, V'nechemata, V'amirandi Alma, V'yamru. Amen. Yehi Shlomo Rabba Min Shemaya, Hayim. Aleinu V'yakod Israel, V'yamru. Amen. Oseh Shalom B'mramav, Hu Ya'aseh Shalom. Aleinu V'yakod Israel, V'yamru. Amen. Say Yasher Choach, Hazan Slot. It's wonderful that you can share your music with us again this year. We will conclude tonight's service with Yigdal, which is found on page 250 in your Machzor. We will resume the live stream tomorrow at 9 a.m. Tomorrow at 9 a.m. we will resume at Shafari. Gamar Hatima Tova. The best wishes to everyone for an easy fast and a good new year.
Yigdal Elohim Chai V'yishtabach Nimetza V'yeinet El Metziuto Echad V'yein Yachid Keyichudo Ne'elam V'gam Ein Sof Le'achuto En Lo Demut Haguf Eino good lo naroch elav kedushato kadmon lechol davar asher nibra rishon be'ein reshit lereshito hino aron olam lechol notzar Yore gedulato malchuto Shepa nebuato Netano elaneshei segulato V'tifarato Lo kam be'Yisrael Kemo she'od Navi umabit Et emunato Torah emet natan le'Yamoel al yad nebio neman beto lo yachal yipael elo yamir dato le'yolamim lezulato Sope beyodea Tetareinu Mabit lesof davar Bekadamato Gomele chesed Kemi palo Noten lerashara Kerishato Ishlach leketz yamin Eshicheinu Liftot mechakekes Yeshuato Meitim Yechael Terov Chasto Baruch Adead Emdehi Lato Meitim Yechael Terov Chasto Baruch Adead Shem Tehilato.
Bob?